We wait for the light. There it is. Big cheers, big pros. The light is on and we are live. And with that being said, my infamous line, I know I've seen it before. I know I say with that being said a lot, but with that being said, it is your host, the creme de la creme, the one that they do in fact call him Mr. El Tucretente, the ultimate sensei, aka we'll save the rest for tomorrow. But this is Pull Up a Chair episode 105. Thank you guys for being tuned in. Hopefully being tuned in live. And if you're tuned in afterwards, hit that like and subscribe. And if you have hit those things already, we greatly appreciate it. But, I've been doing great this week. Hope you guys have been doing well. I've got a lot done this week for the EP. So I'm looking really forward to kind of sharing that with y'all. Got a couple surprises in the tug. We got the new merch that just arrived for me as well. Exercise Your Demons. That's up there with the original logo. So I'm feeling really good about that. Added another record to the collection. I got some Sexy Songs for You. Wifey gifted that to me on vinyl. So that's pretty dope. Got Dead Island 2 off Game Pass. Been playing that a little bit. Back in my gaming bag a little bit more than usual. But really, overall, just been a blessed and wonderful week. Big cheers, big pros to the good brother Doomer. Hope y'all have been having a blessed and wonderful week as well. We still got a little bit of the week left to go, and it's time for the sleepless shenanigans. And kicking it off, like I said, it's Pull Up a Chair 105. And, man, I feel like I got some new music reviews to go over. I know there's something about to drop here in about 2 minutes Eastern time, depending on what time zone y'all are at. For those watching live, 2 minutes Eastern time. For those watching afterwards, I am referring to the Carter 6, which just is about to come out here at midnight. But I wanted to go over some of the new music reviews, some of the shit that I've been listening to over the last week. John Bellion just dropped on a Wednesday, which I thought was awesome. But haven't really got to shed too much because I know last week I went live before everything dropped. We'll get to a song that really absolutely, a record that really tickled the fancy, so to speak. But I did really end up liking that New York anthem that came out. You had Busta Rhymes, Swizz Beatz, obviously DJ Scratch, Papoose, Nems, Joey Badass. You had Wim Whammy come out, which Pluto, Sexy Red, which by the way, I thought Lizzo slid on her version of Wim Whammy. Miley Cyrus put out a new album. I know I'm kind of hopping here, but Easy Lover I thought was great. Give Me Love I thought was really solid too. I added 4 joints on there, the other 2 being Reborn and Something Beautiful. Triple X Tentacion and Juice WRLD, the Whoa remix that they came out with. Man, where are the others? Those estates are milking those kids for everything that they're worth. And RIP and shout out the late, great Triple X Tentacion and Juice WRLD. I thought those were 2 future superstars that their time was cut way too short. And to see them get milked like that's unfortunate. Meek Mill and G Herbo dropped a great new single, Survivor's Guilt. Really like that a lot. Lil Wayne dropped the mix before the 6, which I thought was dope, which had some like mixes of some of his old records with different, some different of his old records. Like I think there was like a Millie and something else, like a Block is Hot. But overall, though, I thought the mix before the 6 had some fun joints on it. Leon Thomas dropped his deluxe Heel, which as a wrestling fan, I love that title. Off the rip, I added Heel, Party Favors, Not Fair. Not Fair is not fair. Not Fair is a fucking joint. We're way past 7 seconds, so I think I can drop an F-bomb. But Not Fair is a banger. That's an absolute gem. Highly recommend checking out Not Fair, especially for my R&B cats. Dirt on My Shoes with Kalani. Come on now. That they absolutely put that shit on the fucking smoker. That shit came out looking like a fine-tuned brisket. I couldn't highly recommend that joint more. Josh Ross and Akon dropped Drunk Right Now, Nah Nah Nah, which was obviously a remix sample of Akon's Right Now. Loved that flip. Loved the way they did that. Added, obviously, so now this kicks into the new John Bellion album as far as new music goes. First off, I had to add that whole album. I'm a big John Bellion, Beautiful Mind, big supporter. I've seen John Bellion live 5 times. I know he's doing a one-time show this time around at the Forest Hill Stadium in Queens. So I'm not going to be able to catch him on tour this time. But for those that get a chance to go see John Bellion live, performance is a 10 out of 10. Couldn't highly recommend it more. Father Figure, I've Been bumping it all day. In fact, I've been bumping it all day and yesterday. I highly recommend Capital H-I-G-H. But my favorites off a father figure would definitely be, I go number 1, Why, with Luke Combs. Number 2, Don't Shoot. Number 3, give me My Boy. And number 4, give me Modern Times with John Baptiste. Thought they absolutely smoked that. Thought that was absolutely incredible. Got nothing but amazing things to say when it comes to John Bellion and just everything that he's done since he was signed to VMG, Visionary Music Group. And then he branched off, did his own Beautiful Mind, and just the way he's conducted business the whole time. And a lot of people forgot he wrote the hook on Monster for Eminem and Rihanna. He wrote the hook for Rihanna. He also wrote a lot for Jonas Brothers when they had their big nominated Grammy album. John Bellion's done a lot of behind the scenes work that just kind of just goes glazing right, or just goes kind of sailing right under the radar. Sorry, I've had a few of these, don't mind me. But look, I got the koozie on. I'm a professional now. I'm a professional, so now I don't get marked for false advertisement that I don't have, even though Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, I'm waiting on this advertisement because I give more money to y'all than the entire state of Kentucky. So come on. But I'm from Ohio, though. OHIO, baby. But as far as new music goes, that's what I've been rocking with. Let me know what y'all been rocking with. Maybe I've grazed over something. Maybe I haven't seen something. Let me know. Fill me in. However, though, there is some new music that has officially dropped, like I said, as about 3 minutes ago. Carter 6, still not out yet. Maybe aiming for West Coast time. I literally said on Twitter 4 hours ago, X, Twitter, potato, tomato, whatever you call it. I literally said, what's the over-under that this actually comes out at midnight? Because it seems like all major releases never come out at the actual time that normal releases usually typically come out. So you know what? That doesn't shock me one bit. But at least that means that gives us time at least to speculate on it. So who knows? Maybe everything was meant to be. I'm not upset about it. So let's go dive into this thing, shall we? Let's take a look at the official track list, because we had a leaked track list go earlier, which I ain't gonna lie, I bid on it. Feel like I wasn't the only one that bid on it. A lot of people bid on it. But now let's see what the original track list looks like. Let's see what we're most looking forward to, what we're a little skeptical of, and what maybe we don't want to hear at all. And then I do want to kind of rank the Carter albums, so I think that would be fun to do with y'all, but let's see what we got cooking here. Good Brother Doomer said, yeah, they always aim for midnight West Coast time nowadays, which is misleading as hell. They should put that in the promo. But of course they don't. So then we're left over here staring at our phones at midnight just to go, oh, wait, it's probably not going to come out until 3 a.m. But to read off the Carter 6 track list before we rank the Carter albums, we got King Carter, Welcome to the Carter, Bells. Here we got some features coming in. We got Hip Hop featuring Big X the Plug and Jay Jones. Who? Then we got Sharks featuring Jelly Roll and Big Sean. You got to have a Jelly Roll feature. It's practically a requirement these days. Band from New Orleans, which if there is a rumor going around, which there is, on if Lil Wayne is going to diss Kendrick Lamar, it's going to probably happen on Band from New Orleans. Given everything that happened with the Super Bowl, if he does diss Kendrick Lamar, I'm putting it on wax right now. I'm putting it out there. When you put it out to the internet, it sticks. If he disses him, it's going to be on Band from New Orleans. Then you got The Days featuring Bono. Yuck. Then you got Cotton Candy featuring 2 Chainz. That's going to probably be dope. Kind of mad the intro isn't called Lighter Flick now. That was too perfect. That's how we should have known it was AI, because it was just too damn perfect. Then he's got Flex Up, Highland Holiday, Loki's Theme, If I Play Guitar. Now this is where it gets more interessante. Peanuts to an Elephant. If there is a Drake feature on the album, because on the rumored track list, on the leaked one that ended up being debunked, they had one. I believe it was called One More Dance. If Drake is featured on this album, I do believe it will be the hidden feature, and it will be on Peanuts to an Elephant. I don't know why it just seems to be going that route for me. What's up, good brother? Thank you for tuning in live. I appreciate it. Muy apreciado. See, I hope I don't offend anybody when I go down the Spanish route because it's all from a place of love. But as we continue going down the Carter 6 track list, we got Rari featuring Cameron Carter. All respect to Cameron Carter, but I do not know Cameron Carter whatsoever. Then we got I Also Love Pusha T. Yuck. That was a half-assed impression and it made me almost get choked up with phlegm. Then we got Maria featuring Andrea Bocelli. Forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. And Wyclef. Then we got Be and Myself featuring Manny Fresh. Then we got Moolah coming in featuring Lil Navi. Then we got Alone in the Studio with My Gun featuring MGK and Kodak Black. Now, here's what cracks me up about Alone in the Studio with My Gun. I can guarantee you that Kodak Black thought that MGK was G-Eazy for the first hour of that session. If it wasn't sent via email, definitely for the first half hour to an hour, Kodak Black thought that MGK was G-Eazy. Guarantee you right now. He said, "Hey, big boss, I don't know if you're a hip-hop head." Yuck. Pusha T voice. Absolutely. But then we got Written History to close out the album. So we definitely got a big track list that we're diving into right there. Or are you Venom Snake? Not quite sure if I catch that reference. Oh, he said, "Hey, big boss, to good brother Doomer." Look at that, me being out of touch. But yeah, no, with that track list, though, I think if Drake's on it, it'll be Peanuts to an Elephant. And I think if he does diss Kendrick, I think that will most likely be on Band from New Orleans. But it'll be exciting to see how it shakes out. Venom Snake. Oh, from Metal Gear Solid. Even I can pick up that one. But next thing that I wanted to say, though, before we close out on music, speaking of the Carter 6 coming out, looks like now obviously it's coming out West Coast time. I thought it would be interesting if we could rank the Carter albums from 1 to 5. Obviously, 6 about to drop. Maybe it's dropped as we're going over this. But I thought especially going over with everybody live and then, seeing what everybody says afterwards and seeing what everybody says on TikTok and Reddit would be a blast. But I'm very curious as to what y'all got, and I'm very excited to share what I got as far as ranking the Carter albums from 1 to 5. Right now, off the rip, we got in the chat, Carter 2 and Carter 3 are my favorite. Well, I have a shirt of the Carter 2 and I have a CD of the Carter 3, and I also bought it on iTunes. So that's definitely interesting. Then also in the chat, we have, I haven't heard all the Carters, so I can't really rank them. That's also interesting. For me, as somebody that's listened to Carter 1 through 5 a ton, I've got to see Lil Wayne live twice. He's also coming to Blossom Music Center, Cuyahoga Falls, August 14th. Me and wifey are outside, looking really forward to that. Shake and Bake Brethren Koozy's going to be there as well. I'm doing this on the fly because I've been thinking about it. So, I wanted to obviously brainstorm ahead of time. So, if I'm ranking the Carter albums 1 through 5, number 1, give me 3. Number 1, give me 3. Number 2, give me 4. Number 3, give me 2. Number 4, give me 1. Number 5, give me 5. And then I guess we'll see where 6 falls. But clip it. That'll end up being the clip right there. That is how I would rank them. That is, it was tough. I did it on the fly. I'm factoring in all the track lists. 3 holds the most sentimental value to me. 3 holds the most nostalgic value to me. I had that download on my Xbox 360 playing Call of Duty World at War. Merkin motherfuckers just having a blast and having a blessed, wonderful time playing that. Plus, I had it in the car. That's how I put El Padrino on Lil Wayne. I was listening to Lil Wayne on the way to middle school, on the way home from middle school. And the Carter 3 was the soundtrack to that one. The Carter 4, same thing. I played sports. I played basketball. Always big on the Carter 4. You had 6 foot, 7 foot. John, you had It's Good with Jadakiss, Nas, all Drake even. Chats goes, I'm a Wayne fan for life. Wheezy, baby. He was one of my best rappers growing up. We went crazy over his mixtape in the early 2000s. Oh my God. Sorry for the waits. No Ceilings. Come on. Those are classics. Some of the most classic mixtapes of all time. The Drought 1, 2, and 3. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with that more, man. That's awesome. Yeah, those mixtapes, man, what a run. Dedication. Almost forgot about the Dedication. Like, that's crazy. I almost forgot about it. But, however, chat mentioned Pusha T. We got to talk about Pusha T. Got to talk about Pusha T. Pusha T was definitely in the news this week. To close out the new music review, something that I wanted to mention as well was I couldn't say enough great things. In fact, let me make sure I'm pulling up my references here. But that new Clips record off of Let God Sort 'Em Out coming out, he said, let's go. This is new to me. Let God Sort 'Em Out, Ace Trumpets. Man, I got nothing but amazing things to say about that record. Doomer, we were talking about it. Solid interview with GQ this week where Pusha T opened up, which is what we're about to be talking about a lot. But to talk about that record, though, as well, because that was something I wanted to mention as my most highest recommendation of my new music reviews. No Malice got that shit off, man. That's my verse of the year, hands down. Got nothing else to say other than that was absolutely incredible. No Malice. Pusha T, they smoked that. Pharrell, even though they didn't have Chad Hugo, they didn't have the normal Neptunes production. I thought Pharrell Skateboard P knocked that shit straight out of the park. That was a Shanae Otani home run. No Malice, though. A couple of those bars, man, we can't overlook that before we dive into what Clips are talking about. He said, from the tribe of Judah, I'm Mufasa. Never turn the other cheek as you'll die at the Oscars. Lion King reference? Come on. Persona non grata, Mikasa Sukasa. Drugs kill my teen spirit. Welcome to Nirvana. You was Fuji Lala. I was Alibaba. Dressed in House of Gucci, made from selling Lady Gaga. Come on now. No Malice verse of the year. Chat said Pusha got Malice to rap again. Oh, man, you haven't heard Ace Trumpets, man. This shit's crazy. Pusha said himself his brother is a better rapper than him. I would agree in certain circumstances. I don't know if that's true, but I'll take his word for it. I mean, it showed on Ace Trumpets. Don't get me wrong. Diamonds look like PP. I thought, all kidding aside, Pusha T, man's always one of my favorite rappers. I've always had him somewhere floating around that top 10, top 15. Always respected Pusha's delivery, his pen, his albums, his discography, his featureography, I guess if you want to call it. I don't think that's a real word. But I've always been a huge Pusha T guy. But when No Malice, man, you get No Malice going, it's just got that. It's got that Jay Electronica almost feel to it. They're too articulate. It's like it's so articulate. It's a high level of thought. Like I'm not that intelligent to understand some of this shit. I have to almost read it off of Rap Genius and go, oh, wait a minute. But all kidding aside, I mean, it's a good debate on who's the better rapper. But on his best day, it's No Malice, I would say. I wouldn't argue Pusha T on that. And I won't argue Pusha T on this either. Pusha T, in that GQ reference that was mentioned, when he was asked about Kanye West, was asked about if he would collab with him again, kind of what's the status of the relationship. And Pusha T said that he doesn't want anything to do with Kanye. And personally, he doesn't look at Kanye and respect him as a man. I agree with him. Big cheers, Push. I agree with you, man. Big cheers to everybody tuned in as well. Couldn't agree more. He said, oh, man, he's probably a lot like Jay Electronica. Neither of them rap, at least like Malice has an excuse. Jay is my biggest letdown. Don't like Jay Electronica. No Jay Electricity there. He said, I don't respect Kanye. Yeah. And that's what Pusha T was saying. He goes, I don't respect Kanye as a man. And I used to really respect Kanye as a man. I used to have the utmost respect for Kanye as a man and as an artist, in fact. And now I have neither of those things. Excuse him, Wall. But it's unfortunate when it comes to Kanye. But I thought that was interesting what Pusha T said about him. I also thought that where that stemmed from also had a great point as well. And I think I know where you might be going with that with the Jay Electronica. Something tells me might have to go with his religious beliefs, which you're entitled to feel any way that you feel regarding those beliefs as well. But as far as Pusha T and his take on Kanye goes and kind of separating himself from him, I think that was completely a great idea. I think Kanye right now is obviously a complete cancer. I don't think it was going to do anything for him beneficial by any means. Mel said he's into rapping again, mainly because Push convinced him to come back. Shout out Push for convincing his brother. And then, with Pusha T going down on Kanye during the GQ interview, a lot of other things arised as well. Something was known that Pusha T actually, a couple things were known. One, his relationship with Kanye was completely severed when he spent 6 days with him in Wyoming, just for the day after he leaves, Drake to show up and Kanye to be like, oh, well, it wasn't anything personal. Well, clearly it was something personal. Then proceeds to go on to explain that when he was trying to leave Def Jam, that another grievance that he had going on in his life at the time was Def Jam wasn't going to let him drop the new Clips album because apparently on Whips and Chains, which I guess now it has been confirmed, but on Whips and Chains, Kendrick Lamar is featured, which every time Kendrick Lamar's name is mentioned, it makes headline news anymore. But with Kendrick Lamar now being featured on Whips and Chains, which now it looks like the two features on the upcoming Clips album, Let God Sort Them Out, is Stove God Cooks, which is going to be absolutely amazing. And you got Kendrick Lamar now on Whips and Chains. Kind of looks at this point that they were looking at that record as a hit piece on Drake, so Def Jam wasn't going to let him drop it. So Pusha T had to put up his own money to get them bought out of the label to then shop the record around, shop the album around, which then landed them a deal with Rock Nation, which is now why that they're able to put out the album. It just unfortunately had to come out a week later because originally they wanted to put it out last year, but like with everything I just said, Def Jam wasn't going to let that fly. Chad said Jay called Kendrick and Cole his sons while he was drunk in the backseat of a taxi. I can't call a man my son if he can do something I can't. Drop albums. That's a great debate that could spawn into a whole different debate that I'm more than welcome to have towards the end of the episode because Andre 3000 comes to my mind. But as far as Pusha T goes, I'm excited to see where this Kendrick feature leads. I'm excited to see where the Let God Sort Them Out album is going to go, especially given how amazing Ace Trumpets is, because that possibly might be my favorite hip-hop record of the year so far. And Def Jam absolutely fumbled letting this album go because clearly this is going to be a major release. They're putting up some of the highest numbers of their whole entire Clips career, which if you think about it, dates back to the late 90s, even early 2000s. And this is some of their most successful first week drops. So Def Jam fumbled the bag, but Def Jam ain't the only one to fumble a bag over the past couple of weeks because Offset fumbled Cardi B like Earnest Byner in the conference championship for the AFC championship match against the Denver Broncos. Offset fumbled Cardi B on a scale that is almost never seen. Earnest Byner, like I said, did it for the Cleveland Browns back in the day, for those that don't know the fumble. And I don't know if Offset's even going to be able to get a drive in because after this fumble, I think that might be it. Offset was over here skipping out, trying to get with the hose, just to end up losing his girl, his mother of his children, which, by the way, I love Cardi B, Barty Gang, baby. Just to lose them to the biggest player in the NFL, Stephon Diggs, and then watch her twerk alongside other hoes, fine women, sweet women, not anything wrong with that, on that yacht, just to watch that unfold and then him deactivate his social media accounts. Offset, you have fumbled. You have fumbled. In fact, you had Cardi B. You had the whole ASAP Rocky situation that he's got going on. Shout out Rocky, shout out Riri. All love to their family. All love to Cardi B. All love to her children as well. Offset had a touchdown lined up. He had a wide open field, shot right up the field, 1 yard line. He went to go celebrate and he fumbled the ball into the end zone and it was a touchback. And Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, whoever you want to say, bombed that bitch down the field and caught that bitch for an 80-yard touchdown and stole and absolutely scooped and scored that fumble. Offset, my goodness, how did you manage to pull that fumble off? My God. He said, if you're a young man with a lot of money, he don't care. I wish I had a lot of money. Offset don't care. He get in the bed he lies in. He probably don't care. Well, he cared enough to deactivate his social medias, and something tells me he cares at least a little bit if that's the case. I mean, granted, like you said, I mean, he would have hella options, but at the end of the day, that's the mother of your children. That's Cardi B. That is not only royalty, but that is an amazing woman any way you slice it, at least based on all the interviews, based on all the things that I've talked. Obviously, I've never met her in person. I could be totally off. Who knows? Maybe she'd spit on my shoe and throw gum on the bottom of it. But overall, though, I don't. I personally think that this L lands right into Offset's hands. I mean, I think that's clear as day. I mean, like I said, Offset might be Earnest Byner with that. He might be the guy that fumbled on the one. Or he might have pulled the John Taylor, fumbled on the one. Let it be a touchback. Either way you slice it and dice it, that's kind of how it ended up going. So with that being said, though, I did want to kind of, before we close this thing out, I have been watching Justified recently again. For those that don't know, my favorite TV show of all time. They go in tandem. I go with Twilight Zone. I go with Justified. Love Justified. Couldn't highly recommend that more. If you guys like a nice action thriller, suspenseful, got a little bit of romantic shit that goes on in the show, but mainly only action, and couldn't recommend it more. If you guys like Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, those kind of shows, couldn't recommend Justified more, which you can find on Hulu. Believe it or not, they don't pay me to advertise it. That just shows you how much I love it. I did rewatch that Osama bin Laden doc. I ain't gonna lie, that shit's gas. I am looking forward to seeing that new Fantastic Four coming out. I think that comes out June 24th. Looking really forward to seeing that new Mission Impossible. I haven't got to catch up on that. He said he only fumbled if his music career fails. Well, it ain't looking too good so far for Offset. He said my favorite TV show was Cowboy Bebop. Oh, the reboot or the original? Because I saw they did the reboot with John Cho, and I was really rooting for that. I'm not even a huge anime fan. Cowboy Bebop. Hey, a lot of love for Cowboy Bebop. Hopefully I'm not pronouncing that wrong, because that would be a shame if I was. I recently watched, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. That movie's always great. I rewatched The Town with Jeremy Renner and Ben Affleck. Highly recommend that. If you guys haven't seen that, The Town is an incredible movie. I actually watched it twice because I hadn't seen it in like 10 years, so I loved rewatching that again. The original, the reboot is god-awful. You can see the clips. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it didn't seem to be getting that great of reviews. Which another thing that wasn't getting great reviews is Aaron Rodgers going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Saw Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers. Some people are thinking very highly of it. Some people are thinking it's going to be an instant bust. I think it's going to be an instant bust. I think the Aaron Rodgers carrying a team to the playoffs ship sailed probably somewhere back in like 2019, 2020. But that's just personally how I feel. As far as Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he signed a 1-year deal. I mean, it gives you time if you're the Steelers to develop somebody under him on like a Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady situation. But overall, as far as what the promise of Aaron Rodgers does for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, please surprise me, because I really don't see anything coming of that doesn't come off as 7 or 8 wins a season, maybe for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. But he signed to a 1-year deal. Obviously, we don't wish injury on anybody. I'm a Cleveland Browns guy. I'm a Niners guy, but I wish everybody well. I would keep the love high and the hate low. You know how that goes. I just personally don't see what Aaron Rodgers is going to do to personally affect positively on the Pittsburgh Steelers as far as getting them to the playoffs or making any sort of a dent goes. But maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Let the terrible towels fly. Let a Browns fan know from the dog pound that I'm not smart. Carter 6 just dropped. This is not an alert. Carter 6 just dropped. Gonna go listen. Peace out. Good brother Doomer and anybody else that's gonna go listen. I cannot blame y'all. However, then I'm getting ready to close this out because I want to go jam with y'all. He said Aaron Rodgers' old ass still playing. Yeah, believe it or not, I ain't going nowhere yet. I am excited to listen to Carter 6, but I'm hanging out with y'all for a bit. Aaron Rodgers, which I didn't intend that for rhyme, old ass still playing. Yeah, he finally got picked up by a team on the day where Elon Musk and Donald Trump have been beefing all day, and he tried to steal the show, but it didn't work. But he signed a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I guess we'll see how it goes. NBA Finals obviously just concluded game 1 under an hour ago. Depending on if you're watching this live or not, they recapped it last night or earlier in the week. You got the Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. And believe it or not, in OKC, Tyrese Halliburton, he brought the Halliburton with him because he had another buzzer beater with 0.3 left to secure the W and go up by 1. So shout out the Indiana Pacers. I'm sure Reggie Miller's happy. They go up by 1. One more game to play in OKC before they take it back to Indiana and hope to close that thing out and make history. He said Carter did just drop. It's on Spotify, and I'm getting ready to go check it out on Apple Music. So as we close this thing out then, I'm excited to see how you guys rank the Carters. We obviously got the Carter 6 that just came out. I just went over what I recently watched. Highly recommend checking that out. Highly recommend checking out Ace Trumpets as well. Shout out Observing for being a Pusha T fan. Shout out the chat for being tuned in live. Good Doomer as well. Shout out everybody for being tuned in, watching live or watching afterwards. Hit that like, subscribe. New merch available now. New music available now. Follow me at TUKELENKKU on all social medias and stay tuned in with everything coming out. Sleepless Familia. And with that being said, you guys want to hit me with a Q&A before we get out of here? I'll answer any question. What y'all got? Any question, could be anything. Doesn't even have to be music, TV, movies, sports, wrestling related. Just hit me. In fact, I can give you a quick Money in the Bank prediction before we close out. I can do a speed round Money in the Bank prediction before we go live tomorrow night with Scotty Two-Stone for Bumps and Bruises and give our official predictions where we go in depth. He said, peace out. I'll catch you later. I'm going to tell you this right now off the top of my head. Naomi's going to win the women's Money in the Bank. Let's get it. Naomi's going to win Money in the Bank. You're going to have LA Knight win the men's Money in the Bank. If it's not LA Knight, it's going to be El Grande Americano, a.k.a. Omos, a.k.a. Steve Blackman, who's ever under that mask. Number 3, you're going to have Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes beat John Cena and Logan Paul. But now get this. L.A. Knight, yeah. Or El Grande Americano cashes in on Jey Uso. And if they don't cash in on Jey Uso on Money in the Bank night, they're going to cash in on Monday night after Gunther. And 4th, to cap off the night, Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria, Intercontinental Championship on the line one more time. I'm going with Bayley interferes, costs Becky Lynch the match, sets up for a match at Evolution that could ultimately also have a payoff at SummerSlam. And I got Lyra Valkyria and still wins Intercontinental Champion. And he said, I really hope LA Knight wins. LA Knight, yeah. And he said, I think Jay and Cody's losing, and I'll do you one better. I think 4 letters, 1 word, I love you, sorry, yeet. But he takes the pin. And sorry to say that, Jey Uso, but I think that's how the night goes. You might be taking at least some sort of a pin that night. But with the love high and the hate low, as Scotty Two-Stone would say, people are fake, wrestling's real, don't be a jobber. But as I would say, keep the love high and the hate low, wake up with a smile on, look in the mirror and say, I love you. Remind yourselves of 3 things you're grateful for, and peace. See y'all tomorrow night for Bumps and Bruises, and I'll see y'all tomorrow night for Sleepless Radio. Love y'all.